And hey, what's up everyone? How you guys and gals doing? I hope everybody's amazing. We are here with a live stream, so we have Micah Wolfe from Wolfe Kustoms who built this really awesome Wolfe Kustoms Bel Air Spartan. So we also got MaxTheGamer here, so we're going to be doing kind of like a podcast style. We'll have her talk about the car a little bit, and then eventually we'll get to like a viewer question and answer and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So I think we are pretty much ready to rock and roll. Micah, how's your day going?
It's going great so far. I started early this morning out in the shop, so I've already been working.
So what are you working on currently?
I have a 95 Chevy OBS truck, and I make it into a shop truck, but it's got it has its own twist. It's lowered, and it's actually a C6500 series, which is like a very large truck, like 2.5 ton or 3 ton. And I put it on a GMC motorhome chassis, so it's really low and it's front wheel drive, and it's just really strange. It's a real Frankenstein of a truck.
Nice. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, everyone. This is Max. I am also here, and I am very honored and pleased to be joining this stream with Danny and Micah for today, particularly about the Wolfe Kustoms Bel Air Spartan, which we have in the game. How many of you guys have this car already? And if you have it, we have the actual builder here with us. And so we're going to ask her some questions about this car. I mean, this is an amazing car that was added to the game. And I think it's going to be even more interesting for you now that you know the history and the build behind it. So without further ado, Danny, you want to ask the starting questions on this car? Because you've been playing with it. I unfortunately have not. So let's get the questions rolling with you.
All right, so one of the things I noticed a lot of people have been asking is, why are the headlights and fins asymmetrical? So I guess we'll start off with that one.
Okay. Well, so the car, I had it, the primer, it was in third primer, and which means the body work was roughed in. And last summer, I woke up one morning and I'm like, I really want to make that right rear fin big and loud and in your face, just make it really stand out, obnoxious. And so I did that, and I liked how that turned out. And I left the front end alone for about a month, and I decided then to take the right hand headlight opening and lay it back at the angle of the fin. So on the right side, if you look at it from the profile, the fin, it does have a little bit more angle than the headlight opening, but both are leaning back. Kind of gives that right side look like it's going fast, just sitting still. But to be honest with you, the people did asymmetric customs in the 60s, and it's just not done very much anymore. And I'm still trying to decide if I really like the front headlight opening that way. I have a game plan to I might change the right hand headlight opening just a little bit in the future. So
Understood.
That's, yeah.
I mean, so you mentioned something that is very interesting. So this kind of asymmetrical designs were much more common in the 60s. Is it something that has kind of fallen out of favor more recently with custom cars, or is that still something you see at shows and builds?
When I took it to SEMA last year, my car was the only car there that had anything asymmetrical on it. And same, I've only shown it 3 times, and all 3 shows, there has not been a single car there with anything asymmetrical. And you look at who the leading designers are now, like Dave Kindig and the Ring brothers, and they're, that's just to scratch the surface. I don't want to, I could leave out so many people that are I mean, there's so many builders out there. But anyway, everybody's doing symmetry and making everything flow. And I wanted to break the rules. And so that's that's how I did it. I just decided to take the plunge and get the saw out and start cutting and welding.
And you actually build these yourself, right? This is all your handiwork from beginning to end, from front to back. This is your car.
Yes. I grew up in a body shop, and so this is all, I've been doing this most of my life. I took a little break from building cars to go to nursing school. I'm a registered nurse now, but I don't work in the nursing field anymore. I'm back working on cars, my first love and passion. But yes, I do everything myself, and if I don't know how to do something, I YouTube it. And the great thing about YouTube anymore, now I can use ChatGPT. It's like, hey, how do I do this? I'll ask other people, friends, people that my dad's friends, they heavily influenced me. So, I might lean on their experience and like, how would you do something like this? So that's, I do it from start to finish, and just sometimes I have to make it up as I go.
Well, the end result speaks for itself. I think I speak for everyone here that to know that this is a single person design and build, it makes it even more amazing. I saw a question earlier about the engine in the car. And guys, Danny is going into live, so feel free to look for him. I believe we're in the 10.4 range lobby. I'm sure Melon or someone can verify the exact lobby very quickly. But going back to the car, one of the question is, what is the engine that you have, actual engine that you have in this build?
Okay, well, to answer that question, I need to back up just a little bit. The body, the 57 Chevy body that was shortened, it's on a 93 Corvette chassis. So that's a C4 Corvette, and I left the drivetrain it's stock, and so for that era, Chevy was doing the LT1s. So 350. In the 90s, that was all the rage, like all the hot rods and street rods running LT1s. Like, now LS engines are all the rage. But so it's a little antiquated, but again, building a car like this, it's not necessarily built to go fast. It's built to like show good, like just look good.
Did you ever dyno the car? Do you know what the LT1's actually putting out, or it was just more of a custom engine you put into the car for the, just to make sure the car is running right and going to shows, those kind of things?
Well, I think I told you earlier, Max, that the Corvette actually belonged to my late husband, and he bought the car brand new, and he was an engine builder, and he raced cars for a living, and he was very meticulous about the maintenance. So I didn't do anything to that engine except upgrade, like put an LMSD ignition on it, throttle body headers, just some bolt-on stuff. But it's low mileage. It only had 85,000 miles on it, and so I couldn't see changing anything up because I would never race the car.
No, and was such a one-off custom. We were saying earlier that it would be heartbreaking if anything gets damaged on that car. It's just not something that takes a few days or months even sometimes to replace. It would take years sometimes to get something replaced.
Right. So every panel on that car has been cut and re-welded, reshaped entirely. And like, for instance, the rear clip, all the metal work from the rear wheel opening around is all custom. And so if I was to even just be driving on the street and someone rear-ended me, it's not an issue. Like, I can't go and buy any panels to go back on it. I can't go to the stop, as if there's a lot of 57 Chevys left in the salvage yard, but I couldn't even, even if I found one parted out, that wouldn't really help me much because I would still have to go back from scratch and reshape all that. And it could literally, depending on where the car was hit, it could take me a year to fix it back. So I'm pretty careful with it. I don't want to take any chances. And
Of course.
that's what's really great about the game, is because you know, I can play the game and just flog it. And in real life, I just, you know, I just ease into it and just take it on a cruise. I don't never redline it or hammer it. So.
And that's another interesting thing. You have now joined CSR2, right? You're now playing the game with us.
I am, and so what's ironic is before this came out, my gaming experience was limited to Tetris. So I've never been much of a gamer because I've always been, you know, in the shop and building cars. I love to work with my hands, and so, you know, I don't watch a lot of TV. I just don't like to spend time indoors. And so CSR came along and approached me about photographing the car, and of course I said yes. And you know, then when the game came out, I got the game, and then I'm like, oh, now I'm kind of hooked. I've only played it for 2 weeks, and I don't know if this is good or bad, but I'm on level 40 or 41. So I think I've progressed pretty well.
Very well. You have progressed
time.
very well.
So,
It's very common for that level range in about 2 weeks, and you know, it's not an easy game. It's not an easy game to get into. It's a great game, but there's a learning curve, as Danny always says, and it's something that as you play, you'll figure out more. And we're here, and that's really why Danny and I started our YouTube channels respectively, was because it's not the easy game to learn, and Danny has helped so many players through his videos to kind of teach you the basics. There's things that is not intuitive, and it's hard to learn unless you really understand the game.
The learning
Right,
curve
Danny?
on this game is crazy.
Yeah.
There's so much to it, it's not even funny. You would think a drag racing game would be really simple. When you actually get into it, I mean, none of it's really hard. There's just a lot of things to learn. It's all really simple. There's just so many different things. It takes a while to catch on. And a lot of it, someone almost needs to tell you how it works. I mean, it took me about 8 to 9 months to really get a complete feel for this game. I mean, when I first started playing this, I was probably playing for what, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a day sometimes. Like, I used to have a lot more time to play back when I first started. Now I play for, I don't know, maybe an hour a day or so. Some days a little more, some days a little less, but yeah, it seriously took a long time to figure it out. So I had all these questions when I started, and nobody could answer any of them. So eventually I was like, all right, I got a pretty good hang on this game. I made a video to show my friends something, and when I woke up the next morning, that video had a lot of views. I'm like, oh wow, people actually watch this. So I'm like, I'm gonna start making CSR videos, and that's pretty much how that came about.
And now Danny is probably the biggest CSR2 YouTuber now.
Yeah, I probably am. Unfortunately, you know, it's still considered a pretty small channel versus these YouTubers that are getting like a bazillion views per video. But you know what? I have a lot of fun doing this. It does help some people. It's really fun making the videos. I mean, it is kind of ridiculous though. I mean, just for like a little 15-minute video, I would say normally I spend probably at least an hour recording, then at least another hour on the editing software, then I gotta upload it. So your average video can take somewhere between like 2 and 4 hours to make, to tell you the truth. It's pretty ridiculous. A lot of people see like this little 10-minute video or 15-minute video like, oh yeah, that must be like so easy, and they think you can just bust it out really fast. But between
Not if you want to do a
editing,
quality video.
yeah, if you want to make it a good quality one, between recording and editing and uploading and making the thumbnails, it's pretty ridiculous. Now, I will say this, it doesn't take as long to make a video as it takes Micah to make a car. So you said this took about, what, 4 years to build?
3.5 years. So I originally started on this in July 2014, and I worked on it pretty steady for about 2 years, and then it sat on the back burner. I worked on it for about 3 months in 2019, and then it sat until last spring, or I guess that would be in spring of 2025. And I took it took it out of mothballs, so to speak. And I'm like, I'm going to finish the car this year. I got a sponsor to take it to SEMA. So last summer I was working 60 hours a week, pretty consistently trying to get the car done. And when you get to an opportunity to go to a show like SEMA, that's like a great big carrot stick dangling in front of you. And it's like, it is a motivator. And sometimes I'm a lack motivation out in the shop, but if I'm going to get a car ready for a show like that, it's just so much easier to push myself.
How many custom cars have you actually built so far?
Over the years, probably really nice builds, probably a dozen. Nice.
Wow.
So do most of them all take a few years each?
Yeah. Some of them that aren't as elaborate as the Chevy, I've turned some out as soon as 18 months. But they're not all painted underneath. They're, like pretty much stock suspension, things like that. It's just, a few custom touches on the outside, a really nice paint job. So something like that, 18 months. But when I start doing things like building suspension components or, swapping engines, like, for example, I have a chopped Humvee and I made it 2-wheel drive and put a big block Ford in it. Well, I had to build a frame, that entirely new frame, to make it 2-wheel drive. And then you can imagine putting a big block Ford in a Humvee. It's like you build all the brackets, every hole, you drill all those holes. You just, it is so time consuming. And so like on the Humvee, that was probably about a 2.5-year build. But probably, let's see, I have a Volkswagen that it's chopped, sectioned, channeled, and shortened too, and that was about a 3-year build. So, and it's painted like you could flip the car upside down and eat off the bottom of the car. It has as much detail work underneath the car as it as the top of it does.
When you get these frames, are the frames something you buy or build yourself, or do you just kind of use the frames from existing cars already? Because where I'm at, everything is rusted out underneath.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm on a budget, and everybody's on a budget. In CSR in the game, you're on a budget.
Yeah.
And so, I would love to fab stuff up from scratch, but I just don't have a pocketbook that deep. So, for example, on the Humvee, I bought a frame off of Facebook Marketplace out of a 2012 Chevy Express van for $150. And sometimes parts pick you. Like, maybe I wasn't necessarily looking for that particular frame, but at $150, it had a lot of really nice components on it that I could use. 8-lug, it had an 8-lug front end on it, and I knew I wanted to take the Humvee in a 2-wheel drive direction and slam it. So I got a lot of money, or I got a long ways out of that $150 investment. And that's like on the Chevy, it's sitting on a 93 Corvette chassis. And it was a car that my late husband purchased brand new, and he had wrecked it, and he let me cut it up. So I actually, like, the rolling chassis was a cheaper investment in the Chevy. It's not like starting from scratch. So
I sorry, go ahead.
I just try to utilize what I have on hand.
I actually like how you can see the frame of the car on the sides. That just adds something to it. Like that certain color of black with the little holes, it just looks like it just adds some style to the car.
Yeah, and as a Corvette guy, that makes this car even better.
Well, since you pointed out those panels that had the flared holes in them, which actually I don't know, in the game you can't tell that those holes are flared, but they are with a tool called dimple dies.
Okay.
But when those are actually aluminum panels, and they're not, the strength is all like behind them, the structural part of the rocker. And so those panels are like basically like tuner guys might call it like ground effect pieces. It's just they're for style and looks. And when I took it to SEMA, I didn't have those panels on yet, and it actually looked a little bit odd because the front bumper and the rear quarters dropped down low, and then my rockers were a little bit high. But I was rushing to get this. I couldn't even believe I got the SEMA in the first place. So anyway, I came back after SEMA and finished those panels. I had them cut, but I didn't have them powder coated and the final holes drilled. So that's a long.
Speaking of the SEMA trip, those seats do not look comfortable. And you drove the car there.
Yes. So I live in Southwest Missouri, like the Joplin area to be specific. And my roommate and I drove it from Joplin to Las Vegas and back. And we put gel cushions in the bottom of the seats. And I like the joke. I tell people, yeah, the first 200 miles wasn't so bad, but it was that last 1,200 miles that got to us.
You know what you should do is get like a quick release seat so you can swap it out for a comfortable one. I don't know if that's possible, but that would be
those seats are.
That would be nice for longer trips like that.
Yeah, it's well, part of the reason why I went with that style of seat is called a bomber seat, and part of the reason why I went with that is, in a way, I use it to cut cost because, and that leads me to another aspect of the car. I made it have a vintage race car theme because I could say the car is finished with doing less to it. Like, in other words, if I didn't have the vintage race car theme, then I would probably have to pay an upholsterer, because that's one thing I don't do on cars. I would have to pay someone to put an interior in it. And so it was, sometimes the build takes you different directions, and it was a solution to a problem and a budget problem. And I'm like, because the original concept of the car was did not include like a vintage race car vibe, but it just kind of flowed into it. It just happened.
And that kind of brings us to a question that's, I'm sure, on a lot of people's minds is, how do these build ideas come to you? I mean, these are extremely imaginative and unique ideas. How do you get these ideas? How did they come to you?
I guess that's $1 million question. I'm a very imaginative person. I think I made the comment to one of you guys yesterday that I don't sleep very well at night, and I think that's part of my problem with insomnia issues is my mind doesn't turn off. It just, I think about how I can change things, how I could, I look at cars like the first thing I want to do is what could I do to change it? And so my mind is always going. And like the Chevy, that's a culmination of years of, my first car didn't have, just a fraction of the changes that the Chevy has. So it's been an evolution, and it takes a little bit of bravery to start, get out to the cutoff wheel and start just cutting into panels and just, because you may start with a fairly whole 57 Chevy, but you end up just whittling away stuff and reshaping it, and you have a big pile over in one corner of parts that are like, wow, I really did cut all this out.
Now, did you go to school for design or anything like that, or did that just kind of come to you on your own?
It just came to me on my own, and I think that this is more of a philosophical type conversation now, because every one of us has a unique talent, and it just happens that my talent is creativity in this aspect. Like, I'm a creative person, but then I can't draw. So if someone asks me, well, could you, the car that you're working on now, can you draw it? And I'm like, no, I can't. I mean, so I can barely draw a stick figure.
You don't draw these out or anything beforehand, huh? You just kind of
No,
You just kind of
that's
do
what.
it as you go?
Right.
Wow.
Oh my
I can
God.
see it
Wow.
in my head, but that's why I marvel at people like Chip Foose or Dave Kindig, because they just sit down and they grab a piece of paper and markers and they start drawing stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah,
so they see it in their head, but they can put it on paper, and I'm lacking that skill. I can rough sketch something, but it's really pretty butchered.
But you know, in some ways, I'm actually more impressed with your ability to take something that's kind of a vision in your head and make it happen without that secondary
Yeah.
step of a drawing. Because you're
That's
really, what you're
surprising.
doing is you're molding, you're sculpting a car into shape, into existence
In real
through
time.
your vision without the artistic drawings and plans that normal people would have to go through. That in itself is an amazing skill.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment, so thank you very much.
And it very
And-
much is a compliment.
On the Chevy, originally the original idea that I started with was, what would, if 57 Chevy made a fastback, what would it look like? And it just started with one question, and the car is the culmination, the answer to that question. Well, maybe Chevy wouldn't have made outrageous asymmetrical custom mods on it, but I think that if they made a fastback, it might look something like that. But that's, I just started with one question, and then my idea evolved.
And you know what? I think Chevy really missed out by not doing a fastback design. This is, without the asymmetrical designs and the other unique touches, though. Even then, this is a very cool look.
Yeah.
I think I really like the way the roof slopes back and it flows into the rear. Of course, car makers have other considerations that custom car makers do not have, but nonetheless, the fastback design is a very cool look.
Well, one major consideration is, like, I don't think they could sell a car without a trunk. So, and in the late 40s, well, actually, you can go back into the 30s through the early 50s, and they made fastbacks, or they may call them sedanettes. There's different terms for it, but they always had trunks, and they usually had a back seat. So I don't think I build a practical car at all. Because this car is just two seats. There's no trunk. The seats do hinge forward, and then you put the luggage in with the seats leaning forward, and just kind of squeeze it in underneath the roll bar and in the back. So maybe it might look kind of cool, but it's not practical.
Well, when you're doing custom cars, I mean, honestly, I don't think most people are really into practical unless they decide to use it for their everyday driver, which I doubt most people would. I mean, most people would probably get something like this and drive it every once in a while, take it to car shows. So practicality, I would imagine that's not something a lot of custom creators think about. I mean, I wouldn't. I'd rather have something cool and unique and different than something that's practical. Now, for my everyday driver, like to drive to the grocery store, I would like to have a practical car, but I would much rather see something like this at a car show than, like just something basic. I mean, so many times you go somewhere and, the car just looks like the original car, just with some, some cosmetic upgrades and stuff. But this thing is completely unique. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, the first time I saw this car, it took me a minute to figure out what I was looking at. I'm like, what? Wait a second. I'm like, what is this thing? And it wasn't like in a bad way. I was like, this is really one of the most coolest and unique things I've ever seen, but I don't know what it is. It took me a minute. Like, I could tell it was a Chevy, but it took me a minute to figure out it was a Bel Air at first until I read the name. I'm like, okay, it is a Bel Air.
Well, it started out as a Bel Air, which that's actually just a trim package. That was that would have been, the Bel Airs would have been the top tier trim package that had more stainless steel on it, on the sides. Anyway, there's not much left of, like, there's no trim on it. So it's kind of like when someone asks, is it a Bel Air? I'm like, yeah, but not really, because there's no trim. But that's what it started out as.
So what would be if Bel Air is just a trim, it would just be a Chevy sedan or Chevy 69 Chevy what?
For a 57 Chevy, they started with
50.
a 150 model, and then they went to a 210, and then the Bel Air, and then you had, off of the Bel Air, you had like the Nomad version, which that was, a very trimmed. It was a specific wagon. It's that was trimmed out really nice, like the Bel Airs, and then of course the convertibles. They did make other wagons called handyman wagons, but they didn't have the B pillar that leaned forward like I lost my train of thought.
Nomads, the Nomads.
Yeah, the Nomads. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. I have a neighbor who actually has a Nomad in their garage. I'm waiting for them to actually complete their project. It's partially complete. It's an amazing car to see because it's so rare now.
They are. And Pontiac made their own version of the Nomad. I think they called that Safari Wagon. The Nomads they're expensive. There's some one-off pieces on those cars for sure.
So what is your current? Do you have a current project that you're working on? I did see some Facebook posts. Is that the current project, the truck?
Yes, I needed a shop truck, and so I just like, well, I'll build something that I can use. And again, it all starts, well, what do I have on hand? And for this particular build, someone actually gifted me a 95 Chevy cab. It had nothing to it. It was just a bare cab, no interior. And it came off of a C6500, and they gave me the front clip too, which that's like the 2-ton trucks and bigger, like I call it like a little semi. So they have a large one-piece fiberglass front end. And then I had a 77 GMC motorhome that was sitting there just doing nothing. So I took the body off of that and fabricated body mounts and put the Chevy cab on the motorhome chassis, which gave me, it's just really unique because that particular year motorhome was front wheel drive and powered by an old 455 engine. And anyway, it's just a Frankenstein build. I can sum it up like that. Just call it a Frankenstein. But it's using parts that I have on hand.
So this is going to be your shop truck when it's complete.
Yes. Yeah. A matter of fact, my goal, I have a deadline on this truck. I have to have it done by early next March because I'm taking the Chevy to the Detroit Autorama show the first week of March. And as it is, I won't be driving the Chevy there. I will trailer it because just weather factors. And I guess because late February, early March in Detroit still,
it could be icy and cold.
I just wouldn't want to drive the Chevy up there. And so I'm going to use this truck to pull a trailer and then haul the Spartan there.
I'm looking at the Chevy, going back to Chevy, the lower part of the front, the mouth, so to speak. Is there an inspiration to that design that you have? Because that's kind of a unique design. I haven't seen a lot of Chevys looking that way as far as the front end lower portion.
Well, I wanted to make the bumper thin because normally, especially for that era of 50s cars, it doesn't matter what manufacturer it was, they had big bumpers, enormous bumpers, and I wanted to just kind of lighten that up a little bit, like lighten the feel of it. And again, I look around like, what do I have on hand? And I was working on a 66 Mustang at the time, and I started looking at the rear bumper to the 66 Mustang, and I thought, I kind of like how it's thin, and I was like, I think I could start with that bumper and do something with it. So that's actually the rear bumper to a 66 Mustang that I cut in half and made 8 inches wider. And then I had to put a crest in it, because the Mustang rear bumper is straight. And so I kind of folded the bumper a little bit, and then the 66 Mustang, it doesn't have a long, I call it a leg on it. The sides aren't long, so I had to build the sides that came back to the tire opening, the wheel well opening. So, and then the grill is a C1 Corvette grill.
See, that's, I would have never placed it as a Corvette grill without you saying it. But that is actually really cool that it's a Corvette grill on a Corvette chassis with the Bel Air flair to it. So this car actually underneath has quite a bit of Corvette, right? The engine, the chassis, and some parts.
Yeah. So I tell people it's basically like driving a C4 Corvette.
So it's a Corvair, get it?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people have joked, like they said it's like a Chevette. I get people calling it a Chevette, and I've heard people call it a Corvair. But that goes back to, just utilizing what I have on hand.
So I got a question playing off of what Max just asked. What made you decide to go with flat black instead of chrome? I mean, most people go with chrome. Personally, I love flat black, so I think that was an awesome addition. But why did you decide to go with flat black?
Well, I pictured the car with a racing stripe, and it just seemed like I thought about going, the roof is like a taupe or a tan color.
Okay.
And I was thinking about doing the stripe in that color also, but then inverting it on the roof and making it a green stripe over, or to match the bottom of the car on the roof. But ultimately, some of this came down to time issues because last summer, with being on the time constraint of going to SEMA, it's a whole other thing of, taping off the roof and, making the colors invert. I did that on a 66 Mustang, and it just, I was just, it looked great, but it just takes, I couldn't afford even an extra day. I was just so crunched. And so, I just flat blacked it. It was just so much easier to do it that way.
I think it worked out really well.
Somebody in the
think
comments,
it did too.
Somebody in the comments says this car is the French Prince of Bel Air. Fresh Prince.
Yeah, I like that, Darren. So, well, and then part of the black too. I have a wheel sponsor, U.S. Wheel Corporation.
Okay.
And because I just love plain steel wheels, and I picked out black. That's what they sent to me, and so it just all tied together. If I went ahead and did the number or the space around the number in black, and then put the Spartan logo on the side in black. So, which
speaking of the wheels, those are custom, right?
U.S. Wheel Corporation makes those. That's their. I can't remember their line. I think it's called the Rat Rod line of wheel. And the center caps are normally chrome, and I powder coated those. You can't tell, but all of my powder coating, like the door handles, and then that rocker panel underneath the car, it's a fine textured black. It's just perfect. Like it's it's like a crinkle finish almost. It's just a real light texture. And it just flows. Gives it, I don't know, I guess I lost my train of thought. So
I mean, I think what it does, that these wheels are amazing because what they do is they give you that old time feel, but with enough touch of modern. And with and flat black is kind of a more modern thing, right? Back in the day, it's mostly chrome. But flat black is definitely more of a modern thing, and it really combined the modern with the classic in a nice way, and it really sets off the car. It makes it look really good.
Now,
well,
did the exhaust pipes? Now, when you were driving that to SEMA, did that give you any trouble with getting exhaust fumes back into the car or anything?
Okay, so if you're moving down the road, there's no issue. But I have noticed that if I'm stuck in traffic, and especially if the wind's blowing a certain way, I can smell the exhaust.
Yeah.
So, but one good thing is fuel injection, and so, I'm using the factory computer, and it's lined out nice. It doesn't run rich. If it's a carbureted car, the exhaust would probably be just too much, pointing out on the side like that. It would just be too much raw gas smell.
Now, are those still considered lake pipes, or is that something different?
I don't know what you would consider those, because lake pipes are typically run the
kind of like off the side.
The length of the rocker. They run lower. So the exhaust, again, it started out as like, well, what do I have on hand? And I happen to have, well, I bought them off Facebook Marketplace. I bought some stainless steel turbo headers, and I didn't know that those were turbo headers when I bought them, but I thought that the quality they were a good quality stainless steel header. And then when I got them home, I was like, what are these? And I got them dirt cheap. And so then I realized they were turbo headers, and I thought, well, how can I still use these? And so I decided to just, the turbo headers pointed the exhaust forward, and I just made a 180-degree bend, and there is a muffler under the fender. It's a stainless works muffler. They're oval and really low profile. And the exhaust is 2.5 inch, which for a 350 Chevy engine, that's perfect. You don't need 3-inch exhaust on it. So.
And that I was about to ask about the noise, and it sounds like you had that handled with the muffler hidden under the fender then.
Well, the muffler is still considered a glass pack, basically. So under acceleration, it is noisy. And driving it to SEMA, let's see, that was basically, we could have made it in 2 12-hour days, but we ended up 2 10-hour days, and then the half a day of driving. And now being in the car that long, any noise at all was just getting on our nerves. And so my roommate and I were wearing hearing protection. So
just like a real race car. I mean, if
Yes.
you're driving a race car, you would need hearing protection. It is very loud, and
it is, and that's like back to the game. Like I think one of the body components or one of the upgrades is like strip stuff out to make it lighter, and this car is stripped out. It doesn't have any insulation in it, so it's very raw feeling. Like when you drive it, you know that it being on a Corvette chassis, it's a little harsh feeling, and no insulation. You can hear everything, but that you can see in the floor that that's actually the C4 Corvette floor. So it's a factory fiberglass tub. There's something. And that tied into the reason why I named it the Spartan, and put the Spartan on the side, because it's a play on words. Like if you say something is Spartan, it's like very minimalist. It's very kind of bare. And this car is that. It's, it doesn't have a radio in it. All it has is a heater, and that's it. It's just, and of course it'll pass safety inspection. It has functional lights and everything. But that's why I named it the Spartan, because it's bare.
But the Spartan also gives the association of great warriors from ancient Greece. So when we as players saw Spartan, our first thought wasn't bear. Our first thought was, ooh, this is going to be a bad, on the track, because it's a Spartan.
This car is going to kick other cars into the well, This is Sparta.
Yeah. Well, it took me forever to name that car. I went through it during the 3.5 years it took me to build the car. I probably named it a dozen different things. And last summer, I was sitting in the shop telling someone that it was just going to be bare, minimalist, and I said it's going to be very Spartan. And then I thought, wait a minute, like I brought up, because you think Spartan, you think of the warrior, And I was like, that, like I said, it's a play on words. It was perfect. And from then on, I knew that the name of this car was going to be Spartan.
And it is an awesome name that really fits the build. And I love the, by the way, I love the Spartan helmet design on the rear fenders. That's really awesome. And what is the color you picked for this car? That's a, because Danny was showing it earlier. Is that a color you selected custom, or
Murano green? It says that's not a green, is it? I mean, that looks like a blue to me.
A lot of people see blue, and I see green and it's just it's a very interesting color because half people perceive it as like a blue. But Murano green is, I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's a '89 Porsche color.
Okay.
And I don't know what drew me to that color, but I used that color on my very first car that I built. It was a '79 Mustang, and but that was way before I was painting. So my dad said, pick out a color for the Mustang and I'll paint it. And so that was back when we had these really big, thick paint books, with color chips in them. And I would go through that, and I flipped and flipped the pages. And somehow at age 13 or 14, that's the color I arrived at. And again, like I said a moment ago, that I named it probably half a dozen different names while I was building it. It also had half a dozen different colors. And so some of my stuff is very up in the air until the last moment. And last summer, I still hadn't made up my mind, and I saw pictures of my very first Mustang. I was going through old photos, and I'm like, you know what? I think I want to, kind of give a nod to my first car that I built. And so, anyway, the green, that's the Murano green. Now the roof, that's hilarious because I had a color similar to that in my mind, but when I went to the paint store, there was a gallon of anti-corrosive matte tan on the clearance table. And so I was like, that is the right color. That's going to work for me. And plus it saved me a whole bunch of money. So isn't that crazy? I do things like sometimes parts pick themselves.
And that's what makes this car so unique. I mean, I don't think that, and that's what makes it so cool too. In the car enthusiast community, we are used to seeing customized cars, right? But to customize it to the level that this car has been, this is
this is different.
This is very rare to see. And I think that's part of what got me so excited when you first joined Danny's stream a few weeks ago. I said, oh my God, the actual person who built the car is here. So, and this has been a very enlightening conversation to learn of the process.
I thought you were a troll at first. I'm like, yeah, that's not really the person that built the car.
Yeah.
I'm going to run to the restroom. I will be right back. You and Max go ahead and chat for a minute, and I shall return in just a minute because I got to pee.
So I want to talk about the hood on this. It looks like it has unique designs to it as well. Can you talk a little bit about? It looks like almost like you have two vents or something or what, those little, I don't know what to call them, that's on the hood besides the louvered vents.
Well, I think a lot of people, and if it shows the 57 Chevy in the background again, you can kind of make out, a lot of people call them bullets. And that was one of the things that, that was a one-off thing for 57 Chevy. They didn't use it on 55 or 56s. They didn't have it on 58s. So that was a distinctive, part on of the 57 Chevy. And by that time, by the time I got around to the hood, I'd already chopped it, I sectioned it, channeled it. And of course, for those who have joined us since, we started talking, that was a 4-door car that I made a 2-door. Mm-hmm. So when I got to the hood, I'm like, I can't leave the hood stock. And so I took the bullets out, and then I made a thick bezel, like elliptical shaped bezel, and just grafted that into the hood. And then I put a piece of perforated stainless steel behind it. And like in the photographs or on the game, it looks like the like it's a dark gray, but that's actually a brushed stainless steel finish.
Ah, okay.
And same with the panels behind the grill or around the bottom lights. That's a brushed stainless steel finish, but the game captures it as kind of being a gray.
So another question that's been asked in the chat is, one is, would you like to, and would you have any plans to allow Natural Motion, the game maker, to maybe, if they were interested, to make other cars of yours, other builds of yours part of the game?
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, because it's just a real honor to even get it in the game. So, you know, if they saw something that they liked, I would be like, yeah, heck yeah, let's do it. Yeah, that's an easy question. I would definitely go for that.
And kind of shooting off of that, if budget was no issue, let's say in imaginary world, what would be your dream build? Do you have like such a build in your mind in some way?
Well, not particularly. I have lots of ideas. If budget wasn't an issue, I would probably, it's not necessarily picking out the car per se, but what I would love to spend the money on, like making some exotic suspension components. And so it's, when I think of a bigger budget, I think of like, well, what could I do with it? And there's so many cars that I love. I think I could take any car and change it up somehow. And if I just had a bigger budget, it would just determine like how exotic it got. Like, you know, I would love to do twin turbos on a car one day.
Yeah.
You know, but that's a little bit usually beyond what I can spend on my budget. So, you know, I have time on my hands. I have some PTSD issues, so I try to keep my life low stress, and I'm in a good relationship where it gives me time, like I can just stay in the shop and work. And so for me, building a car is, I've got a lot more labor than I do money, if that makes sense.
No, I understand that. And that again is why we're so impressed in many ways of this build. I mean, this, you know, when I first saw this car and heard about, I'll be honest with you, when I heard Wolfe Kustoms, I'm thinking team. I'm thinking a big operation, like Chip Foods kind of thing. And when you revealed that you're a one-person show, I almost fell out of my chair. I'll be honest with you. I could never imagine one person being able to even build a custom car like this.
Yeah.
I have no such skills. You know, for me to just try to think about the kind of labor-intensive, the sweat, blood, and tears that has to go into a build like this, it's hard to imagine.
Yeah. Well, there's certain aspects of the build, like, and I skipped it on this one. We mentioned the interior earlier in the conversation. So, you know, if I was to put an interior in a car, I have to pay someone to do that. So I can't quite say that I can build a car 100%. I can say like I can build a car maybe 90%. And on this car, I had some, because of my time constraints last summer, and there is a big mental aspect to doing something like this, to stay like focused. I had friends come by the shop last summer, and I had my friend Willie brought his crew over, and you know, I think even just their presence there energized me, and they helped me with roughing in some body work, and it got me over my bump. And I was down to just a few days left to go to SEMA, and the car hadn't been color sanded and buffed. That's something that I've always done on my cars, is do the paint and then color sanding buff. But like on this build, you know, I asked my neighbor who also builds cars. I said, hey, I'll pay you to come up and color sand and buff the car, and he did. That was a big help. So I have to give a shout out to some friends too, because you know, I couldn't, because of the time constraint, I couldn't do it mentally, and and I needed just an extra set of hands to do some things. So
Well,
I'm real thankful.
I think I speak for all the players that are watching that, we are amazed with both the end product and your abilities.
Yes.
I mean, you are an incredible builder. You have built an incredible car, and I have to think that the guy at Natural Motion who picked your car has an eye for cool stuff. So we do have to give some credit to him too. But this is a very awesome build.
Well,
and
when they approached me at SEMA, I couldn't believe they were talking to me, because like the way I feel, I'm just like a small potato at SEMA, like a little fish in a big pond. Because you go to a show like that and it is so intimidating, because like say the other cars there that are like the Chevy, I can't remember if it's a 55 or 56 Chevy, but they had it on CSR. It's a wagon, it's silver, and I think it came out last year in the game, but that's a multi-million-dollar build. And
It is.
so I feel like amazed that I even got to SEMA at the first place.
This
And then-
is just
and
as cool, if not better, than a lot of those other builds. I'm not kidding. And you're doing it yourself. It's insane.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but you get a big want list. Like you see, like on the game, it's like, oh, I want all these parts to put on it. And
Yeah.
I mean, if I had a budget, I would put like crazy parts, I would, like I said, the twin turbos or something. I would make the suspension more exotic, bigger brakes. Like, why? I don't know, because the brakes work fine, but I guess it's human nature to want more. And so I just, being immersed at a show like SEMA where everything is big and outrageous and seemed like endless budgets, like just getting there is a humbling experience for me.
So
I think sorry, Danny, go ahead.
What actually inspired you? I have a question. What inspired you to build this particular car? So did you just kind of get whatever body and frames and stuff you could get at the time, or did you pick all this stuff out specifically?
Well, so that, like I said earlier, that goes back to 2009. I was working on a 55 Chevy wagon that I made a shorty out of, which is take the rear doors out and shorten it. So I had a short wheelbase, and that car was a daily driver car. It turned out very practical. But at the time, my dad was working on a 57 Chevy two-door hardtop and a 58 Chevy two-door hardtop in the shop. And with having that shorty concept in my mind, I started looking at those two other cars, and I just asked myself the question, like, well, what if I did a 57 Chevy shorty, but use a 58 Chevy roof and leave the roof line long? Like, on Scarlet, which was my 55 Chevy, I shortened the roof, like it's a wagon. So, I took, I think, 20 some inches out of that car. And so I had to shorten the roof, whatever I took out of the same out of the body. But on this car, it's like I shortened the body, but I left the roof stock.
So if you had no budget whatsoever and you could build anything, what would it be?
Holly, I should have thought about that question before, because now you're putting me on the spot. And
one of the
This
viewers
is the second
asked that,
time we're
actually.
asking you. Danny,
Yeah.
I asked that same question a few minutes ago. But
I have lots of favorite cars, but it would just be doing it more extreme. I have a 50 Studebaker Starlight Coupe in the shop, and actually someone very close to me started on the car and he passed away. So there'll be a point, probably I'm a year and a half or 2 years out from working on that car, but that's I've always loved Studebaker Starlight Coupes, and they only made them, well, the best year was 1950, so you can Google it, Starlight Coupe, and they're out of this world looking. They have a bullet nose on them, and but I guess I would, if oh my gosh, it'd be so hard to pick a favorite car, But I
Yeah.
could take, with an unlimited budget, I could take that Studebaker Starlight Coupe to a whole different level, and make it a SEMA build too. But as it is, I don't know. It's probably, I need a more practical custom car to drive, because as I was saying earlier, this 57 Chevy is not practical to drive. So the Studebaker has more likelihood of being a practical car, like is having a back seat, having a trunk, having air conditioning, an interior. That car's on my horizon. But I also love Mustangs. I've thought about and I grew up with box body Mustangs, and I've always wanted to do, instead of putting a wide body kit on a car, I've wanted to cut a car in half and like make the physical car wider, instead of not just the body kit, but just make the whole body wider, and go with some outrageous suspension on it and big brakes, and so I mean there's all kind of cars I could think of, like, oh my gosh, I'd like to do this or I'd like to do that.
Now, have you ever thought about maybe building a tuner like a Civic or a Supra or, something like that?
Yeah, I don't know much. I'm not like very familiar with that facet of car building. Like because I grew up in, my dad specialized in building Fox body Mustangs, so that's what I grew up doing. But I had when I was going to nursing school, I bought a wrecked Acura RSX.
Oh,
and
nice.
It was a light hit in the passenger side, and I put that car together. And then that summer, I had to drive to California, and I took it out there, and it was super low mileage. It was a very clean car, and so if I was going to get another import car, because I already owned Acura and I have memories associated with that car, I would probably, and it's not like it's that exotic, but I wouldn't mind having another Acura RSX.
And that car, believe it or not, in the import tuner crowd and import enthusiast crowd, is now becoming more and more of a collectible car. The RSX was underrated at the time it came out, but now people have started to really realize they kind of missed out on a very decent performing import from those days.
And I can't remember the designation, but mine had the 6-speed transmission. So it was the, what was the designation that they made on RSX?
The Type S?
Type S, yes, that was it. So
so you had the top tier. You had the top tier of the RSX. That's a.
Oh, I did.
I used to drag race with a group of friends who had turboed RSX Type S's back in the 2000s.
It was so nice to drive, and it handled good. It just and talk about great gas mileage. Like I would totally dig getting into a tuner type car, because you can have fun and still be a little bit more practical than the cars I'm accustomed to.
Have you ever seen anybody build like an old DeSoto? Something like that might be. I mean, those are kind of like rare.
Yeah. So some of the cars, like when you start talking about the vintage stuff, like, again, I have ideas. I can see about any car and just be like, oh, I would do this to it, or I do that. But sometimes, like, unless you strip all the chrome or stainless off the sides, there's always parts missing. And some of those cars are getting so rare, the parts are so rare, that there are some cars that I just would not pick to build, because I'd be like, where am I going to get the parts,
Right.
So I take it that's an important choice, is finding cars that are still easy to get parts for?
Well, that is a big choice, or a big factor. Not that there's a lot of stock parts on the Spartan, but the Tri-5 Chevys, you can buy, like, okay, say like my door handles, like they were pitted. Well, I could just go buy fresh door handles, and have it shipped to me the next day. And so they're very reproduced. before the Spartan, I built a really nice '66 Mustang, and it turned out really nice. It was a nice driver. It had a race car flair to it, but that was the nice thing about that '66 Mustang, because I could just go and parts were accessible, and a lot of it is some of the parts are overseas and maybe not as good quality, or like the metal is not the same gauge thickness, but still, I mean, to have fresh parts to start with is a big deal.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time. Yeah.
Right. So like, you know, my 50 Studebaker that I have in the shop, there's no parts for that available. You know, like I can't just go like, not that I would use a stock door handle on that car. Actually, my good friend had already shaved the door handles, but I can't just go buy new parts for that Studebaker.
Now that's not something you could make yourself if you needed to. I mean, I don't know if anybody's really capable of that, honestly.
Well, something like if you had big budget, and now like in the car customizing world, like they're working with 3D printing, yeah, people are just making their own door handles now, you know, for example. Okay. Like
yeah,
and I don't have that kind of technology to do that, but there are people that may have a CNC mill, and they can make billet stuff, or, you know, now, you know, like I said, 3D printing is out there, and people are 3D printing car parts, which I can't wrap my mind around that. I would love to explore that, but you know, I have one of the nicest pieces of equipment in my shop is a CNC plasma cutter, and I couldn't even fathom getting another piece of equipment until my plasma cutter's paid off. But anyway, yeah, it's just in some ways, tools are like, I mean, you can make money with them, obviously, but sometimes they're like toys. You're just like, ooh, I want that tool. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Especially in your line of work. I mean, it's all about the tools and the equipment.
Right.
It seems like these days you can 3D print almost anything. I have no idea how that works, but it looks pretty easy. I know a couple people that do it. It may be harder than it looks, but they make it look super simple.
Well, you know what's interesting? We have a car in the game that's actually completely 3D printed. The Seasinger. That's a 3D printed car.
Huh, I did not realize that.
Yep.
Yeah, I was looking at videos on Instagram last week, and I saw someone that 3D printed their stainless steel exhaust on like on a GT40 replica build, and I'm like,
they're 3D printing metal?
Yes, and how does that work? I don't know. I mean, if some of the people that are logged in following this conversation and they know, I would love for them to weigh in on this, because I don't know how you could 3D print metal, but apparently they can.
All right, wow. So if you've got any links to like your Instagram or Facebook you want to share, you can go ahead and... Oh, you know what? I don't think I ever made you a moderator, so you could do that yet. But there are some people asking. Let me see if I can find you in chat here.
I'm actually pretty easy to find. If like, you can find me on Facebook under Micah Wolfe, and now like on the YouTube video, Micah is misspelled. It's MICAH, but you can find me on Facebook under Micah Wolfe, and I do a lot of posting on Facebook. And I do have a Wolfe Kustoms page on Facebook, but I still end up posting more on my personal timeline. I have an Instagram account under Wolfe Kustoms, and I have a YouTube channel that you could either put in Micah Wolfe or Wolfe Kustoms, and you can find my YouTube channel.
So I spelled your name wrong?
Yeah, but it's very common. Like, a lot of people misspell it. They put the A after the H. So
I think when I was looking your name up on the internet, I could have swore that's what it said. I'm dyslexic, so I may have misread it, but
right.
I apologize. I'll have to fix that later.
Oh, no worries. But I took a social media break, and like on my YouTube page, I haven't put any content on that since last, oh golly, I think I haven't put a video on since last January, and I need to get back into the swing of things and you know, start making some content. But it does take time to do content, and the more time I spend behind my computer, that's the less time I can spend in the shop actually working.
Yeah, I mean, again, what truly amazes me and you know, humbles me is that you're doing all this as a one-person show. I can't even imagine the level of dedication that's involved to keep up with this. Listen, I wrench on a minor item on my car, I bust up my knuckles.
Yeah.
You know, I did some touch-up paint that I thought I was so proud of myself you wouldn't believe. But the level of work that you're doing, this is well beyond even most skilled fabricators. This is like top-notch stuff.
There's a huge component of just being passionate about it, and for whatever reason, I'm passionate about building cars, and this is more of my personality trait, but I can be up or I can be really down. And when I'm up, I'm like, you know, crazy creative. I've got ideas, and I'm just like, and I'm working like, well, I think what I'm describing is like a little bit of bipolar type behavior. But anyway, but when I'm on the other extreme, then it's like I can't even get you know, motivated to turn a wrench, like do some simple job or just do some maintenance on cars that I already have finished. So
and you know, you sound like an artist. I really, the more I talk to you, you know, the way you imagine, the visions, the way that even the personality trait of being up and down, that it's such an artist's feel to it. You know, when we think of artistic people and people who are really talented, you're kind of hitting all the points as we're talking to you.
Well, this delves just a little bit more personal, but I see a psychiatrist, and he told me I had a kind of a rough spring where I just wasn't doing much at all. It was really working on that 95 Chevy truck, but it was like I had to push myself just to do something that was should have been, like, say last summer it just flew together on the Chevy. But anyway, he just simply told me a couple months ago, he said, well, Micah, you can't be creative all the time. And I'm like, oh, well, there's a lot of truth to that. So you know, all of us, whatever our talents are, we there's times where we need to step back and take a break and just kind of reset.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We all need our downtime, and I think that's important. That even applies to playing a video game. You know, I'll leave it to Daddy about that. But but so the game itself, you know, as you get into it more, I think you really start to find that there's a lot of fun stuff in it. The downside to the game, of course, is getting the stuff. Just like in real life, right? There's a real challenge to getting the stuff in this game.
Yes.
But we as Melon mentioned earlier in chat, the thing Natural Motion did for your car, which we really like, is that they made it a good live racer.
Yes.
You have to set up it with certain parts, and you have to drive it a certain way, and it'll get you into live racing. But it's a good car that can take on other cars within the game parameters and beat them. So that they did good with this car. I mean, that's basically what I'm trying to say, and that's not always the case. We've seen some really cool cars get added, and they're just terrible.
Yeah, it blows my mind how some of these really amazing cars are so bad in the game. So I'm extremely happy that they made this one good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a point of reference. Like, you guys have so much more experience with this game than I do. But you know, I can tell it's, you know, like he said, I did ask him, I think at one point, you know, is it like, what does it do in the game? He said, well, it's going to be fast. So anyway, it's and again, like for people who may have missed out on an early part of our conversation, it's like, you know, I didn't build the car necessarily to be fast. I built it to look a certain way. And so for me, like to get into the game and then like I can flog the car and drive it really hard with no consequences. And that's kind of fun.
Now, did you ever think your car would be doing 400 to 500 miles per hour?
No, no, no. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I mean,
no,
realism in this game is,
Yeah.
you know, you got to take it with a grain of salt. It's a fun game. They didn't really try to go for realistic. They went for the wow factor. So, you know, most of the cars in the game that's doing what they're doing after you build them fully really has no relation to real life.
I mean,
But
right.
how many
the look
cars?
is there.
How many cars
Yeah.
in real life do like a 6.5 second half mile? Probably not very many.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Yeah, you're talking about a supercar then. I guess that's what you would term it.
We're talking like top fuel level performance at that point.
I'm not even sure what a supercar. I mean, I have no idea what a supercar does in a half mile, but that just seems like an extreme time for pretty much anything. Yeah, top fuels, I mean, they might hit those kind of times, but most stuff probably doesn't.
So I have to say that as a newbie to the game, I find the car almost too fast. Like, and especially like with the live race scenario, I've only won like 4 live races. And granted, I've been on this game for 2 weeks now, but you know, it's like, the race is over before I'm even processing like, okay, I have to hit the launch button. I have to shift, and you know, I do everything at a turtle pace, very methodical. But so it's almost for me, like as a newbie, it's almost too fast to shift through all the gears like so quickly.
Some
I don't
cars,
know how many.
oh man, some of these cars, it's like pop, 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 you're like machine gun shifting. Like if you get one of the the McLaren P1s or some of the
GTR,
Lamborghinis,
the P1 GTR is a nightmare.
Oh man, some of these cars
So-
are ridiculous on the shift patterns. I don't know why they would make a car so unpleasant to drive. Like yours isn't too bad. Yours is pretty chill and laid back. So, I mean, it's a thing when you're new to any game. It takes a while to get used to these things. Did you try that live racing setup I gave you last night?
I did, and so I said I won 4 races, and 2 of them were from last night after you helped me out getting the car set up better. So
Good to hear. Good to hear.
No,
And
if
there
any
was,
of your
yes.
if any of your viewers are out there and you see like the Wolfe, like in the game, I'm under Wolfe Kustoms. So when you see Wolfe Kustoms twice, then you know it's me. So go easy on me. You might miss a gear or something, you know.
somebody would.
Yeah, guys. If I hear back from her that you guys are not being nice, I might come back to the game and show you what not being nice means.
Somebody would like to know what's the 0 to 60 time in real life on the car.
Oh well, I don't know. Let's see.
Just say like a quarter of a second.
I've never
impressed.
timed it. So, okay, if in real life, if you want to know what this car actually specs out at, look up the specs for 93 Corvette, because it's basically a reskin 93 Corvette.
Now, does this have a lot less weight though?
Yeah.
So it's going to weigh a little bit more than the Corvette.
Okay.
Definitely, because you've got a, you know, there's more metal to it. And when I fabricate, I tend to use heavier gauge metals than just because they're easier to weld than real thin stuff. So, but the specs on horsepower and you can get it in the ballpark just by looking up what a 93 Corvette would go. But I don't even know what that would be.
I'll look it up.
That shows a lot of like. This shows how important performance is in my world. Like, I'm like, Yeah, it's quick.
So
Like I can say it's quick, but it's not fast.
a factory 1993 Corvette with a 5.7 LT1 V8 at the time will get to 0 to 60 in approximately 5.6 to 5.7 seconds. Now your engine does have a header on it. You have the shorter exhaust.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming other minor touches that actually probably would increase performance. The extra weight might hurt it a little bit, but
I do have some performance upgrades, like I did an MSD ignition, and like we said, the exhaust. The computer is I had to have the computer reflashed, and so they tweaked the specs on that a little bit. But I wasn't really involved in that process. Like I just told them to reflash it. So I don't know, again, that goes back to me, like not really being performance oriented in real life. So, they took all the smog stuff off the computer. So yeah, there's going to be, it's going to be a little bit more efficient than the factory.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be as fast, if not faster, just because of the fact that it's running without a lot of add-ons, right? There's no pulling power from the AC compressors. There's nothing, so it should be good.
Yeah, so that's another thing as far as in the game. One of the upgrades you pay for is stripping out the power steering lines and like to make it lighter weight. And I made the Spartan without power steering because I had exhaust clearance issues on that driver's side. The power steering pump was set on the driver's side, and the AC compressor, all the accessories on the 93 Corvette set on the driver's side. So I had to just take off that accessory bracket completely, and the only thing that's on the driver's side is the alternator, and you can barely see it. It's in the in like as Danny's like moving the car around, you can see the alternator there on the upper portion of the engine. But
that's something worth mentioning, and that's one of the key reasons I love CSR2 as much as I do, is that despite all their faults, the rendering of the details in this game is amazing. It's better than some full-blown video games like Forza, because when you open the engine bay, when she can look in the engine bay in the game and say, hey, this part and that part, very few games can get details down to that level.
Right.
This game is good for that.
Like when you open the hood, you see on the passenger side, near the back of the engine, you can actually see the fuel lines, which I did. I build all of my lines out of braided hose, and I'm like, wow, you can actually see the high pressure and the return fuel line on that. So, and like on the exhaust, you can see the bolts around the bezel that I did on the fenders. So yeah.
If you have to work on this car, do you take the hood off completely, or do you just kind of deal with it kind of being in the way there?
Well, it's actually pretty easy to work on with the hood on because the engine sits further back.
Okay.
When you start, areas that are harder to work on are like being like the radiator. Like when you start getting up in that area, then it's like the lift supports for the hood are in the way, and there's more grumbling and perhaps even some cursing involved. But as far as being like the engine, like say I drove it last weekend to that car show, and it was an hour drive. And one of the things I hadn't done was just run the header bolts. I wanted to make sure all my header bolts were tight, since the gasket's kind of seated in. And so I could, that was easy. I was able to lean over and check the bolts. So it's actually not that bad to work on at all.
That's good.
But one thing, there is one part of the LT1 engines that are a nightmare. And that's the ignition. The distributor runs off the crank. And that was their weak link for those years LT1s, because if that distributor got wet, then it was like it started corroding inside. They drew moisture, and the shop rate to pull the front accessories off and the crank pulley and change that distributor was quite significant.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, sometimes manufacturers have these designs that make you scratch your head. You're like, these are highly paid engineers that came up with this. Did they not even think through this before they passed it through committee?
I gotta run to the restroom again. Sorry, guys. I'll be right back.
Oh.
Well, I can say that, like, pulling the engine, I had the engine and transmission out of this, and that was very difficult, like, compared to, say, like, some of the Fox body Mustangs I grew up on. It was, I think, on the Chevy, when they assembled the car, they must have had the engine and transmission in the suspension cradle and then lifted all that up from underneath the car, which it was the room in my shop that I did all that work in. It didn't have, I don't have a hoist in that room. So I couldn't, and I don't have a car lift. So it would have been hard to pull the engine out from below. And so it was such a nightmare. I ended up like going ahead and splitting the transmission from the engine, but to get to 2 of the bolts on the back of the block, I ended up drilling holes in the firewall to pass a socket through, because it was so tight. I couldn't get a socket on a swivel in there. I couldn't get a wrench in there. So I'm like, I'm just going to drill holes and then put rubber plugs over those holes. So some aspects of the car, like the just from the factory, the C4 Corvette was very hard to work on.
So did you keep the leaf spring set up on the C4, or did you convert that to strut style suspension?
No, it has the factory monoleaf, I guess is what they describe it. And I guess they're carbon fiber.
Yeah, they're updated now with really interesting materials. But yeah, so you did keep the leaf spring design from the suspension.
I did, yeah.
So it would ride just like a Corvette, which back in '93 they ride a little bit rough.
They're very harsh. And then with the low profile tires, like when we were driving it to Las Vegas, if the road was, you know how some asphalt's kind of grooved?
Yeah.
And boy, the road noise was horrendous inside the car. But there were certain parts of our road trip that it was, nice, smooth asphalt, and it's not so bad then. But you can't drive on smooth asphalt all the time.
Well, we don't have smooth asphalt, especially here in PA. I traveled from Maryland to PA. The moment I crossed the state line, I hit a pothole. So that's our roads in this area. But
like for Oklahoma has toll roads going that direction, so the I-44 is really it's nice to drive on in Oklahoma, and then you pick up I-40 in Oklahoma City, and it stays nice. Texas is pretty good, but when you get to New Mexico, oh my gosh, it was like, I literally was scared by the time we got to Vegas that some of my body work would break. Like it was, the ride was so harsh, and we hit such big bumps on the road that I was like, is it going to look this fresh when I get to the show? And driving it was fun. And it's like the look on people's face at SEMA when you say, hey, I drove this car, I didn't trailer it, because I don't know what the percentage is, but I would say 90% of SEMA vehicles are trailered there. And
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was really an epic road trip, but I was nervous. Like, I really legit, there's no way to build a custom car without putting body filler in it. It's going to happen. That's just the way it is. And you can do, my metal work is like, it's not top tier, but it's good. So, top tier metal work, you can use less body work, less Bondo, but anyway, I'm telling on myself, the car has Bondo in it, and I was worried, like with the harshness that like I was going to have a crack or something, but it's held together really nice. So let's see, it has about, after the SEMA trip and Tulsa and Springfield, what is that? I mean, like 3,500 miles, and then I've driven it locally. So maybe I have up to 4,000 miles on it now, and it's holding together good.
That's really good to hear. The with regard to road conditions and stuff with custom cars, I totally understand your concern with. Now, speaking of that road trip, what kind of reactions did you get from people? I'm sure at the gas stations you encountered some questions.
Okay. Yeah, so that's really common. Every time I go to a gas station, there's usually pictures and people coming up. It is so much fun to be driving down the road and on the, say like on a 4-lane, and someone pulls up beside you and then the car slows down and you look over and you'll see someone that's videoing or just taking pictures of your car, you know, and I always give a thumbs up, you know, and I wave real big, especially little kids. They like to gawk. So I'm always waving at little kids. But yeah, the reaction is usually priceless. Now, like driving at the SEMA, I had time to put insurance on it, but it actually wasn't tagged. I drove it to Vegas and back with no tags.
Oh man!
And so this happened in Oklahoma and Texas. We pulled in the gas station and a trooper followed us in. 2 different states, you know, 2 different places, and troopers followed us into the gas station. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to get a ticket now. But the troopers were just as curious as everybody else. They were like, what is that? You know, what'd you do to it? And so they were really cool. And one of the gas stations, the trooper, he didn't get out of his car to look at it, but he was just pulled up behind me. And so like the fuel, I put the fuel in the center of what used to be the deck lid. And so I was trying to stand between the trooper and like where he couldn't see that I didn't have a tag. He probably knew I didn't have a tag, but you know, he was probably laughing because he was probably saying, this lady's really nervous and because she's not having a tag, but I'm going to give her, you know, I'm going to go easy on her or something. But anyway, it's all tagged now, so I can drive it without getting a ticket.
I think the troopers didn't want to do the paperwork, because imagine them trying to write up what it is.
Yeah.
Well, what did you pull over? Well, I think it's a Chevy.
Right.
You know, and they got to put that down in detail in the paperwork, or some lawyer's going to get to court and go, trooper, what exactly did you write up? And if you can't tell what you wrote up, how do we know that you wrote up the right car? So that's probably part of the reason they kind of looked at it and go, ooh, it's really cool, and I have no idea what it is. I'm going to let her go.
I think in the custom car world, as long as you're not doing outrageous stuff like burnouts or drifting on public roads, most of the time I've had police officers and troopers pretty much leave me alone. And you know, because not all, when you get down to the technical aspects, you know, and every state's different, but say like my Volkswagen, it doesn't have bumpers on it. And, you know, in some states that would be a violation. But they go easy. I mean, I've never had tickets for things like that, just because I don't go around like looking for trouble. But
yeah,
I try to behave myself out on the roads, because like in certain, like especially the Volkswagen, I'm sure I could get a lot of tickets if a trooper wanted to really be like, where's your bumpers, where, you know, are your tail lights? I can see a light, but is it legal? It's not 2, it's 1, you know, type of deal. You know, or your windows are safety glass. They're like in the Volkswagen, they're Lexan. But anyway, I try to behave myself.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I have a friend who was a former New York State trooper, and one of the interesting conversations we had was, well, did you ever pull over any cool cars? She goes, yeah, I've done it a few times, but I would only want to pull them over if they're acting really stupid, right? He said, he's like, sometimes I see them, I just follow them around a bit, but I don't actually pull them over because I'm just checking them out. But there's people too, and a lot of them are, as Doge Delico stated in the chat, a lot of people, including troopers, are enthusiasts. They just like seeing the car, so they're just checking it out like everybody else.
Yeah. So one of the vehicles I have that is, well, it's back in the shop to kind of be freshened up a little bit, but I took it to SEMA 3 years ago. I have a 2000 Humvee, and it's an ex-Marine Corps Humvee, and now it's all insured, but I have a problem right now with the title, and so technically, it's like, it's past Missouri safety inspection. I've got the insurance, but the registration's a little bit flaky on my Humvee.
Will the state not allow you to get a title, or how's that work?
Yeah, I'm having problems. I sent in all the paperwork to Missouri, and they didn't like when I bought it from GovPlanet, I got some kind of a form that basically it went along with the bill of sale and the title, but they didn't like how the government, like there was like no actual signature or something, but that form SF-97, like it works in some states, but Missouri, they're frowning on it. And so, which it hadn't been an issue because I haven't driven the Humvee for a few months. Because like I said, I put it in the shop to do some revisions, but I got to figure that out. So sometimes these cars are like, yeah. I'll just leave it at that.
A friend of mine actually bought a old Skyline and a RS 500. He was never able to get either one titled because they didn't meet like the United States safety standards. But he tried for years, and like eventually, I guess he just ended up selling them. He was just like, yeah, I'm done with this. So he finally sold the cars. But it's kind of a shame. You get something like that, you can't title it. That's no fun.
Yeah, it becomes an off-road only situation, and it really sucks.
Yeah.
With a lot of the Skylines, until just recently, they passed that 25-year mark. But until recently, a lot of those Skylines were in fact illegally imported. Cannot be titled for the street. Motor Rex, which famously imported Skylines legally, right, used the loophole, and then they actually got in trouble, I think, later on. So there are very few recently, of course, that's changed, but there are very few older imported Skylines that were fully legal.
Well, that's interesting. It's every state's going to be different, and of course you have emissions that you have to deal with in real life, like whether it's a custom car or a tuner or whatever. Like anytime you touch the engine, you're pretty much going to change the emissions on it. And so some states are really super they're hard on that. It's hard to have a custom car in real life.
In my state, if it's really rare or once it hits a certain age, you can get either collector's plates or historic vehicle plates, and I don't think you have to get emissions checks anymore at that point.
Yeah, I would think California would be difficult. That's one of the famously difficult states.
They're working on a law out in California. They're calling it the Jay Leno law, and I think it's it almost passed last year, but it's going to give an exemption to custom cars, and they didn't quite have enough votes to push it through, but I think it's going to go through this year.
I hope it does.
Yeah, that could. And Pennsylvania, where I'm at, fortunately has the classic antique plate laws. So I just picked up a project car, a 1991 Toyota MR2, which qualifies for antique plate. So I'm working on getting that. And interestingly, because I wanted some custom numbers on the antique plate, it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks to get it. They have to send it out.
I apologize. I see people complaining about ads. The ads are turned off. I even double checked. The ads are actually turned off, so you guys should not be getting ads. Like I said, YouTube keeps doing things they're not supposed to be doing, so I do apologize. I mean, I've got the ads set to manual, which means I have to physically, supposedly, if everything's working the way it should, I have to physically press a button to make an advertisement play. The only time you guys should be getting ads on the stream is when you first come into the stream and then when the stream ends. But there should not be advertisements just in the middle of the stream, because that, in my opinion, that's very disruptive. But I don't know. I mean, I double checked. I saw somebody earlier saying they were getting ads, so I hit the edit button. I went to the monetization options, and Yeah, they're set to where YouTube is not supposed to be randomly putting ads on there. So I do apologize, but I'm telling you, YouTube keeps taking it upon themselves to do stuff that we don't want on our videos or streams lately. So I do apologize for that.
So, are you planning to continue to stick to this game? How's the game capturing your interest so far?
Well, so that's like right now. I think I said something to you about the heat in my shop, and so I'm. Have you noticed I have a really indirect way of answering questions? But anyway, my days are a little bit shorter right now because of the heat. So I've been spending time in the afternoons, and I'm not much of a TV person. So this game came along at the right time. And I've been actually spending a lot of time on it the last 2 weeks. And one of the things that I like about the game are the Legends cars, because that's kind of like my real life of accumulating parts and restoring. And but I'm stuck in the Legends world right now. I have 2 cars that I can't seem to get enough tokens to finish it. And every time I went, what do they call those? Components. They're components.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I have components to so many different cars, like in my inventory, except for the 2 that are stuck in my studio. But I'm kind of looking forward to getting to level 60 because I want to get some other cars like my own, like old custom stuff.
Absolutely. Have you joined a milestone crew yet?
No.
William
So that's
D,
another thing.
William D is asking if you would like to join our crew. I guess we have a spot open.
Oh.
We get the prize
Well,
car every season.
Okay.
And
I don't know really
you'll have support from them to teach you kind of how to keep, develop as you go. One of the tips I'm going to give you right now about legend cars: don't restore 2 in the garage at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, once you finish one of them, keep only one in the garage at any time, because the way the game gives you those tokens, it's randomly split between the 2 cars, making both substantially slower to do. If you only have 1 car in there, when you do the legend races in the game to get the tokens, it'll be for that car. So that's one of the tips that I'm going to give you right now.
Are you currently running the Legends trials up here on the top right corner of the map? Because those are designed every day to give you tokens for your cars. But it's a very slow process restoring all these cars.
Well, that's what you brought that to my attention yesterday, that I'm going to need to have patience. And sometimes I'm an impatient person. I want it now. And it's the same way in real world. Like I need parts, and I got to deal with my budget. And then like I just made an order last week from Summit Racing, which, I've ordered for years from Summit Racing. But now it's like, I want my parts yesterday. But no, I'm not going to pay for shipping. I'm doing the free shipping option. So by golly, now I have to wait another 3 or 4 days. But it's just, the game is very realistic in some ways and unrealistic in other ways. But
Crystal says, save your golden
they profit,
keys.
Just like real life. They profit on our impatience.
Yes.
You know.
Well, so when I was building the Spartan, and getting it ready for SEMA, especially the closer I got to the show, it was like it would be really nice to sit down on paper and say, I need this, these are the whole complete list of the parts that I need, and just check them off one by one. But that's not the way it works. It's like, especially when it comes to plumbing and like, do you have the right fittings? And I build like I build my brake lines, I build usually my fuel lines out of stainless steel braided stuff. And so there's always a fitting that I don't have. And like working under the time constraint of SEMA, I don't know, at the end, I was overnighting parts like every day I was getting parts overnighted to me. And the cost of that was like, it really added up to have that, because there were parts that's like, you need it now before you can decide what part you need after, because you don't. And the Darker Knight says, it is Spartan street legal. Yes, it is street legal. passed Missouri safety inspection. It's tagged as a 57 Chevy. And it's insured. So yes, I drive it anytime I want, but it's like, most of my cars that I built before, I wasn't so scared of driving them. But this car, for some reason, I'm like, I just don't want chips, and I don't want to get road rash on it. So I'm not driving it very much right now. I'm trying to keep it fresh for the Detroit Autorama show next spring, and then after that I may drive it daily.
William D, yeah, look up Wolfe Kustoms and send her an invite, and if she wants to join our crew, she can go ahead and accept it, I guess. So
yeah, that would.
Now, was it hard to get something like this titled? Because I mean, if you're kind of building something from scratch from all kinds of different parts, is it hard to get it titled, or was it overall pretty easy?
Well, the 57 Chevy that I purchased, it had a title with it. So I had the original VIN plate.
Okay.
And had a good Missouri title. So, no, it actually wasn't hard at all to get it titled. I just had to go get it inspected. And the only thing that the safety inspectors had to look kind of past is the car doesn't have windshield wipers on it. And, but, most of the time they're like, they can see that the car is not going to be driven in the rain and snow and stuff like that. So they just let it slide.
That's actually pretty cool that they do let that slide. Some states are very particular about that. I would actually be kind of worried about driving around without the windshield wipers, because in case you get caught in some rain, it's a little rough.
Yeah, and like we did, we got caught in a couple rain showers going to and from Vegas, and basically I just pull off the road. I use Rain-X, and that helps the water beat up.
Yeah.
But look at the radar, and if it's not going to rain much, and I just I can reduce my speed. I'm used to, like, all of my cars. I've always chopped the tops on my cars, and so getting the windshield and the windshield wipers right has been a luxury that I don't always achieve.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah. You have to shorten your wiper arms too, and in this situation, the windshield on the 57 Chevy's curved. It wraps around, so that's a very hard glass to cut, and so it looks chopped. But what I did, that's a stock glass, and the whole windshield surround is sunk into the firewall, and then I made the hood 5 inches longer to come back to meet the windshield. But when I did that, then that didn't leave a place for windshield wipers. So it's to the if they wanted to be very difficult, they can be like, no, it's not going to pass safety inspection. But anyway, I probably shouldn't tell on my safety inspectors, because they could probably get in trouble.
Yeah. Let's we'll skip this part and move on.
Yeah.
Zork wants to know, are you willing to sell your cars?
I have sold my cars in the past. I really hate to do it, because I can, like, the money I put in them, like, because I do all the labor myself, I'm not forking out hundreds of thousands of dollars in parts. So I can always get my investment out as far as my money and my materials. But what I lose money on is my labor. And for example, on the Chevy, I've worked on it for three and a half years. I don't keep a logbook, so that's just kind of a guesstimate, but I know there's 3 years labor in it at least. And so you have to ask yourself, well, what are 3 years of your life worth?
Yeah. And
could that car be sold for that amount? And, body shop rates, vary from, if you're an urban area or from, larger states or whatever, but some body shops are getting $150 an hour. And so you can imagine if you just walked in and you said, I want to build a Spartan, and the labor on it would be astronomical, and you would never get that back out, ever.
So these builds are really because you had a vision, you wanted to build them. It's more of a personal achievement kind of thing for you.
Exactly.
But I mean, anything you can do yourself is always going to be a lot cheaper in the long run. But yeah, you do have to put the time into it. I mean, even like building a computer, right? You can go out and spend $3,000 to buy a pre-built computer. You can do it yourself and spend like $1,200 for the same thing. So
Right.
it is kind of amazing.
The time value is the key, right?
Yes.
We're talking about years of time
Yes.
and investment, and you just don't. Not only is it just a time value, it's the sentimental value to all the labor you put into something. Do you just part with that for, what? How can you put a price on that? It's hard to even wrap your head around that.
About, let's see, it was in 2016, I built a really nice 66 Mustang. And I did some really light custom touches on it. It just turned out great. But my late husband and I, we were looking at relocating. He lived in Tulsa, and we were going to relocate back to where I grew up. And we're like, we got to sell some cars, and try to, pay for the new shop, get some bills paid down and stuff. And so we took that Mustang to the Micha auction, and I cried. I just, when it sold, it tore me up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we built, he passed away 3.5 years ago, and we built, maybe 4 cars in the almost 10 years that we were together, and we sold a couple of them, and it was hard. But, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And
so you
let's see, Crystal asked me what got me into liking cars, and that goes back to the way I was raised. My dad started a body shop when I was a kid, and I was like, people call me my dad's shadow. And so, from my earliest memories, I was always with my dad and when you're really young, it was like the extent of me working on cars was handing him wrenches or sockets or something. But that's it. It's my culture, Crystal. It's what I grew up. So it's just like people growing up on a farm. That's what their culture. That's what they're used to. This is my culture.
And do you have like I'm sure because of what you do you have like a circle of friends in the custom car enthusiast community that you regularly associate with?
So the car show world is pretty small. Like you start, like if you go to local shows and you start seeing the same people over and over. And so there's your local community. And then say like if you start taking your shows to like Good Guys events, those are, across different states, and you go to multiple Good Guys events, and then you start, there's a family that you become accustomed to at those events. You start seeing the same people, and you develop friendships with them over the years. And even the same way with SEMA, the 3 years that I've gone, I've met so many people there, and that I would not ever had an opportunity to meet. And so it, you just build your own community in it. It's, there's a lot of camaraderie. And sometimes, in the car world, like if you're going to car shows and you break down, sometimes all you have to do is get on Facebook and say, hey, this is where I'm at and who's near me, and someone will come and rescue you, or I've rescued other people. It's that kind of community.
That's cool.
That's a very wonderful thing. And I think even in the gaming community, really, the meeting of people that you would have never otherwise met, right? I would have never known Danny if it were not for this game. And all the people that are watching, we would have never had any associations with each other outside of this video game. So that is kind of like any kind of community with a shared interest has that benefit. And I think it's a great thing.
That brings up, like my excitement about, spending time with you guys this morning, because, like until I got the Spartan in the video game, I never, I'm not a gamer. so I don't really ever have access. I have friends that game, but you guys are you're a new community to me now. And,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm starting to build friendships in this community. So this is really exciting. I get to talk to people I've never talked to before. And people are asking
we're very honored and proud to
Yeah.
have you reach out to our community, because unlike, and this is something I think we both said, and it's worth repeating, is that as gamers, we see cool stuff, right, that the developers put in. But you're probably one of the first time we've had an actual builder of a car join us on the gaming side of things. And that's a really amazing and really cool thing to have happen.
Well, it's amazing for me too. So we're I guess apparently we're all having a good time this morning.
Well, definitely. We've never had a stream run this long without anybody saying, "Hey, I gotta go," right?
One thing cool.
It's been wonderful.
One thing cool about it being a YouTuber and live streaming, you actually get to talk to people from all over the world. Like, there's people from just everywhere that show up to the streams, and it's a lot of fun, actually. Like, I'm not sure, I know we got people from different countries here right now. I'm not sure where every single person's from, but, yeah, you just get to meet people from all over the world, and it's not something you would normally get to do on just your, like your average everyday life, so it's definitely fun.
Well, I posted in a CSR group on Facebook, and I know there were people from all over the world that looked at the post, and I had introduced myself as new to the game, and then you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm from such and such country," or I'm from here, and like, that's really cool. And I have because of meeting people at SEMA, that's an international type event, and so I do have followers on my Facebook page that are from different countries. I have followers, and so like, what's neat, every car is different. Like, I have a different set of followers for my Volkswagen build, and Volkswagens are really big in South America. So when I was building the Volkswagen and consistently posting pictures on that build, I started getting followers from South America and messages, and that was neat. And then like the Spartan, it brings up people. I've had messages or followers come in from Europe more on the Spartan than anywhere else. So
if I remember correctly, your Volkswagen was like an old Beetle, and it almost looks like some sort of like Doom buggy type of thing you turned it into, right?
Well, it's I wouldn't describe it as Doom buggy. It's like a flavor of hot rods, like how the old like, say, the 30s Fords, like they'd have a highboy roadster where they'd run around as just the body and the tires. There's no fenders on it. Those were called highboys. And or like, you've heard like the Little Deuce Coupe, say from the Beach Boys song, like, you picture a car that didn't have fenders, it was, you could see the engine, it was, wheels, big tires, and so the Volkswagen build was kind of paid homage to that. And that car is so low to the ground, like, I don't even know if it would go over most speed bumps.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
Yeah. When I get out of that car, it comes up to just like my midriff area, like my stomach, because I chopped the top on it, I sectioned the body, I channeled the body, and I built a tube frame for it. The Volkswagen is neat in its own right. It has I used C5 Corvette front suspension components in it and did cantilever coilovers. So, and I took it to SEMA 2 years ago, and it showed really nice.
Yeah, that's a really interesting car. I did see it. Like, I did find a few photos of some of your stuff. Most of them all looked really nice. But like, I did see there was some photos on, I think it was Instagram. I saw some Facebook photos, and she does have a YouTube page as well. So do you have anything else besides those, or is it mainly just like Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube?
Yeah, it's just those three, and typically I'm on Facebook more than the other two, but You know, and like I said, I took a break from social media for about 4 months this year, or maybe, well, yeah, 4 months. And but now that the car came out in CSR, it's like that got me back on social media the last few weeks, and I'm going to start making videos again.
Yeah, that would
great.
be cool.
I think we would all look forward to seeing them, and you know, with the player base and with car guys in general, Instagram and that kind of stuff really draws a lot of attention.
Well, I think my videos are kind of boring, if you ask me, because a lot of times I don't have anybody to film me, and so I end up just walking around the car and I'm pointing out my work, and about all you see of me is my finger pointing to stuff, and you know, so
super basic YouTube channels where somebody's just filming themselves or just walking around talking, don't really do much editing. Some of those channels can sometimes take off, so you don't really need to make extremely fancy videos. You really just need to be speaking about something people are interested in and put it in a way that's easier for them to understand or relate to.
I mean, yours is basically, we're really looking at the build, the car.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that you're walking around, it's you who built the car, talking about the car, that's more than enough content-wise.
I mean, just like you're doing right now, just kind of get on here talking about how you built stuff, why you built stuff, what got you. I mean, stuff like that is what people are going to be interested in. So I think if you started regularly making videos, I think you could definitely get a pretty big following on YouTube there.
Well,
or Facebook or anywhere.
I'll just commit to getting a video up this week. How's that? I will do a video this week of the truck.
That'd be great. Yeah, that would be awesome.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. So Danny, I mean, we're on your schedule. You let me know. I know normally we're about done with the time that you have available, but feel free to let me know what you want to do.
Yeah, I am gonna have to call this quits here pretty soon. Like, I got a friend coming over because we started filming on Sundays for another YouTube channel we're doing, so he's gonna be coming over in a little bit. So we're probably we can go for another like maybe 10 or 15 minutes, then we're probably gonna have to wrap this up. So if you guys got any more questions, get them in there before we have to go. So if you got questions about this car or any of our other vehicles, go ahead and ask, and we'll get in.
If you go back about 18 months, there's some did 2 or 3 videos of the Spartan, and you can still see it in primer. And some areas didn't have any body work on it at all, so you might see some of my sheet metal work. I think I made a couple videos that spring, and the fenders didn't have any primer on them. So you know, you can see some of the metal work in kind of raw. So
yeah,
there's a lot more.
Those videos are very interesting because it shows the level of work and the trip that really brings the journey that brings you to the final product. We sometimes only see the final product and forget about the journey that it takes to get there.
William,
I do have a lot of
YouTube.
Oh, sorry. I have videos on YouTube of the Humvee build. I did quite a few where you can see almost start to finish on that one. And the Humvee build is pretty interesting. Like I said, I got to take it to SEMA. That was the first year I went, and I drove it also out to Las Vegas and back. That's probably, interestingly enough, the Humvee's probably my most practical driver out of all my custom cars. I can haul stuff in it. It's just basically like driving a big SUV.
I've got exactly 100.50 miles on this car so far. It's kind of cool.
Game? That's pretty impressive, actually.
It's kind of cool how it keeps track of your miles. So I guess every half mile you run, you do it twice. So that means I've ran what? No, that doesn't seem right. I know I've done way more than 50 races with it. I'm not good with math. Maybe I'm doing this wrong.
How many miles do you have on it?
It says 100.
100 miles?
Yeah.
So think about it. It's quarter mile each, right? So each mile is 4 runs.
Well, aren't we doing half miles in the game though?
Are we doing half mile? So every 2 runs is a mile.
I know.
And you have 100 miles.
It seems like I've got more than 50 runs on it just today. Maybe that's not accurate. I don't know.
Yeah, Wild Pig, we did ask about the asymmetrical design in the beginning of the stream, but you know, it's something that is more of a artistic choice in a way than anything. But I'll let Micah answer that question.
Yeah, I see Wild Pig asking that. That's probably one of the most common questions I have about the car is why I did something asymmetrical. And I honestly don't have a good answer for that. I woke up one morning late last spring, early summer, and at that time the rear clip was pretty much in 3rd or 4th primer. And it started out as that right rear quarter panel. I wanted to make the fin really large and bold and like in your face type feeling. And so I reshaped that quarter panel and redid that body work to accommodate that bigger fin. And then, you know, probably another 3 or 4 weeks went by and I was like, well, I couldn't decide how I wanted to do the headlight openings. That was one part of the car that I hadn't worked on the fenders yet. And I got the idea to lay back the passenger side headlight opening to kind of match the angle of the right hand fin. And honestly, Wild Pig, I'm not sure I would do another asymmetrical car. I don't dislike it, but I'm not sure, like, I mean, it's bold. It's like it's taking a really big risk as far as building a car and making something asymmetrical. And on this car, it's like people either love this car or they hate this car. At the car shows, I've heard people walk by and say, I hate that car. And of course, 57 Chevys are kind of a holy grail. You're not supposed to cut those up anyway.
Yeah.
And then Melon asked me what the number 11 means. And if you look closely, that's 11P. And my late husband used to race sprints and midgets, and 11P was his number. His last name was Parsons. And he said that he chose 11 because it looks the same upside down as it does right side up. So in other words, he got his midgets upside down all the time. And when I thought about doing the vintage race car theme, I was like, well, every car has to have a number on the side. And I thought about different numbers, and you know, and I was reflecting on my time with Jimmy in the shop. We had almost 9.5 years together, and so the 11P is just a tribute to my late husband. And
that's a wonderful tribute.
Yes.
And it looks right on that car.
Yeah. Let's see. And someone asked me if I used any CAD software to model the body kit. That's actually not a kit. So what you see there is it's all just metal fabrication, sheet metal work. And no, I didn't model anything. And we talked about this earlier today. What's ironic is I can conceive this in my head,
like Nikola Tesla.
I'm not like Dave Kindig or Chip Foose. They can sit there and just sketch something, and they can make a beautiful drawing of what they're wanting to do. And I can't draw at all. I can sketch something kind of, but it's really rough. I'm not an artist in that way. So it's just, it's the way my mind works. Anyway, I can see it. I can't always explain it. So
when you build, I guess that kind of brings back another question. When you build this, when you're actually fabricating, I mean, obviously this takes precision measurements, you know, to get things right. Is it just something you do off the top of your head by feel? Is that how you measure out the specific custom panels?
Well, sometimes it's a visual thing. You like I've welded stuff together and then I step back and look at it and I'm like, I don't really like it. So I ended up cutting it out and redoing it. And it's just like we're talking about this headlight opening on the passenger side, and it's kind of eating at me. I might actually I might modify that opening just a little bit without getting into my sheet metal work or having to repaint the fender. I've got this idea that might balance it out a little bit if I choose to do it. If I do it, it'd be like in the wintertime. But yeah, sometimes it's just trial and error. And then when you're doing body work, it's about feel. Like you actually run your hands over the panel that you're working out, and you can, after you have a lot of experience doing body work, you can feel the waves in it, or you can feel the imperfections. And when you're doing body work, you can't, like, the surface is very matte, so you can't rely on the reflection of light to tell you if the surface is smooth, or wave free. Sometimes you only see those waves after the car's painted. So, but when you're block sanding, you can feel them with your hands if you're experienced enough. And then you use a lot of guide coat when you're doing body work that exposes the low spots. And so you just keep on sanding those things out, repriming and sanding. It's just like I spent months sanding that car last year. I thought I was never going to get done getting it all body worked out.
That's just the amount of dedication and patience that requires. It's amazing. I don't know what to say. I can tell you I don't have that kind of patience.
I don't know if it's patience or a little bit of insanity.
Well, it's dedication. It's actually the better term.
Yeah.
There's actually an old Chinese proverb that we were taught as kids. It's a story about an old woman grinding a metal bar by the river, and a man would walk by and go, "What are you making?" And she goes, "I'm making a needle." And the man would go, "Well, why? You have a metal bar." She goes, "But it will become a needle." And that was the lesson we were taught as kids, that it doesn't matter, if you dedicate enough time in kung fu, which is kung fu, it's essentially time and effort. Something that you want to reach will be reached. So that is what you're doing with those cars. That it's absolutely amazing.
Well, if anybody has enough perseverance, they can reach their dreams. If you can dream it and you have perseverance, you'll make it somehow.
And you're living proof of that. And we're very proud to have met you, and and to have this amazing stream where we get to talk about this car with you.
Well, I've had a lot of fun this morning. I'm really glad that I met you guys. It just started out like 2 weeks ago. I was wondering if CSR was promoting the Spartan, and then I ran across Danny's channel during his live stream, and then I jumped in, and the rest is history.
Yep. We are so glad you did jump in. I was as soon as I saw your posting on the chat, I started, I was excited, and I reached out to Danny right after that stream and said, "Hey, we got to make this happen." So, and I'm glad it did. So, here we are.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Yeah, thanks for coming out.
Yeah. Well,
unfortunately, we're about out of time for the day, so I think we're going to wrap this up. But yeah, I mean, we could always do this again some other time, maybe, if everybody's into it. And I mean, this has been a great time. I've really enjoyed it so far.
Same here.
Max, thanks for being here today. Mika, thank you so much. Or Micah, I'm sorry. I'm bad at pronouncing things, but
it's all good, Danny. It's all good. So my name is, it's so many people call me Mika. Like it's just a very common mispronunciation of Micah, but it's all good.
All right, everybody.
I promise
thank you.
I will get it right in the future. I'm going to keep repeating it to myself until I get it right.
That's what I
'cause
usually
it
do.
is
Like, I'm
important.
so bad at remembering names. Like, if I meet somebody new, I'll sit there and I'll say their name like 50 times silently in my head. Then I'm like, all right, I think I remembered it. So that's a good way. If you're bad with remembering names, that's a great way to do it, actually. All right, everybody, I think that's going to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for coming out. You're all amazing. I hope you enjoyed the stream. This has been so much fun. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good one, everyone.